Practice, try, push yourself out of your comfort zone, and you'll see that actually, if you do it for the right reasons, then you'll be good at it and people will notice. And then over time, it just gets that little bit easier. I love it here, and it's a great place to live. It's a great place to work and to sort of raise a family, and so much opportunity. We've got our challenges, but yeah, I'm very passionate about it. Yeah, be authentic, be you, live it, think about it all of the time, and almost lead in everything that you do. You don't dial it up or down. It's about how you live your life.
Hello and welcome to the Future Faces podcast, hosted by the Future Faces Chamber of Commerce, the network leading young professionals across the greater Birmingham region to network and develop. I'm your host, Sophie Poduval-Morrell, and I'm really excited today to be talking to Paul Faulkner. Hello.
Hi, Sophie. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
We're going to talk today about lots of different things. We're going to talk a little bit about leadership. We're going to talk about personal brand. But we're really grateful to be here in Tribera's studios. So thank you so much, Tribera, for hosting us. So let's kind of get stuck in.
Right.
If anybody doesn't know who you are, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Paul Faulkner. I'm currently wear a few different hats. I'm vice chairman for the Midlands region for Barclays Bank, and I've also got my own sort of advisory business called Element 45, and through that I work with a couple of other clients as well. So I've got a bit of a portfolio career right now. In a previous life, of course, I spent 6 very happy years as chief exec of the Greater Birmingham Chambers of Commerce and did an awful lot with Future Faces then as well. And then before that as well, I was chief exec of Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest for a short period at Nottingham Forest, but spent about 10 years working in professional football, which was wonderful and wild and crazy, and maybe we'll talk a bit about that later as well. So yeah, had a very varied and eclectic career, but the last 20 years been mainly here in and around the sort of greater Birmingham, West Midlands region. This is home, and yeah, really, really passionate about it.
You are sort of Mr. Birmingham, really, aren't you? Like everyone sort of knows. Oh, that's Paul Faulkner. Everybody sort of knows you. I guess are you a Brummie? Are you an adopted Brummie? Where are you?
I'm an adopted Brummie.
Okay.
So I've been here 20 years now. I was actually born up in Manchester.
Oh.
And then my father worked in regional newspapers, so we moved around a lot. So I lived in the Northwest. I lived in the Northeast, in East Anglia, in South Wales. So we did a full sort of lap of the country. So I kind of grew up in a number of different places. But then I've ended up living in Birmingham longer than I've lived anywhere, and got 2 little boys who are, well, they're growing up now, but they're very proud Brummies. So I'm an adopted Brummie. A couple of years ago, I got this award, the Brummie of the Year, and it was very nice, a bit of fun. And I got home and certificate and the little trophy thing, and my kids go, "But you're not a Brummie, Dad. No, how can you be the Brummie of the Year? We're Brummies, you're not." And yeah, they kind of keep you nice and humble. But I love it here, and it's a great place to live. It's a great place to work and to sort of raise a family, and so much opportunity. We've got our challenges, but yeah, I'm very passionate about it.
I think that's what's great about Birmingham, though. Like, we are so open to adopting people, aren't we? Like,
Yeah.
anyone can be a Brummie.
Yeah, completely.
We love that.
It's a melting pot, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's part of what makes it special. It's also part of what makes it hard to define. It's not a simple, easy place to put a label on. But once you get that and understand it, I think you can really see Birmingham in all its glory.
You are recently been announced that you're going to be a deputy lieutenant. Is that right?
That's right, yes.
I don't really understand what that means.
So, yeah, no, I will. So every sort of county around the UK has a Lord Lieutenant, and the Lord Lieutenant represents the King and the monarchy, and they're sort of their sort of de facto. If the King can't be here and there's an event going on, then the Lord Lieutenant will be the King's representative. If there's royal visits, then the Lord Lieutenant will go and meet them and sort of chaperone them around. And then things like citizenship ceremonies, when people are becoming UK citizens, the Lord Lieutenant will be there leading. And then what the Lord Lieutenant has is a number of deputies, and I think it depends on the size of the population of the area. And so here in the county of the West Midlands, which is a sort of old, sort of from the 70s sort of construct, but that covers basically the combined authority area. I think there's sort of between 70 and 80 deputy lieutenants. So that's covering Birmingham, Solihull, Coventry, Walsall, Wolverhampton, Sandwell, Dudley as well. And what the role of the deputies is to do is that obviously the Lord Lieutenant can't be everywhere. So when he can't be at an event in one of those sort of geographical areas, then one of the deputies will go along and represent. So it's a voluntary role. I was incredibly proud to have been.
I was going to say, what an honour. How do you even get put forward for something like that?
Do you know what? I'm not quite sure yet, but I guess, it's probably, they draw deputy lieutenants from all walks of life. And, I suppose my background's really very much in that business community, and some of the voluntary work that I do as well. And I think the idea is to help plug the lieutenancy into the business community even more. There's a number of business leaders who are also deputy lieutenants as well. But, because there's things like the King's Award for Enterprise and Voluntary Service, and that's one of the things that I will be looking to champion as well, and encourage businesses to apply for these, because it's a real kite mark of quality. And probably we don't have enough businesses here in the West Midlands at the moment who are applying for these King's Awards. And so if I can help to raise the awareness within the business community, then great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it would be great for some of our young professionals that are listening just to understand your career journey, really. So you said that you're an adopted Brummie, but where did your career start?
So my career, post-university, it started at a bank, at MB&A. So this was based up in Chester, credit card company. And like lots of things, I didn't necessarily have a clear plan. So I'd studied history at university, and I'm that old now that I'd handwritten all of my essays, never done any of them on Word or anything even. So, and you need a job. When you study history, you kind of trying to work out, well, what do I do? I wasn't going to be a history teacher, and I'd worked at MB&A the previous summer, and they had a grad scheme, and so I had applied for this grad scheme, been accepted, and thought, great, this will be a way to start my career. It was a big American company, thought it would be really interesting, and then a couple of weeks before I was due to start, I got a phone call from the bank saying that they'd had to scrap their grad scheme for that year. So when you get home, come up and see us, and we'll figure something out. So that was a bit of a shock and a blow, because suddenly you're thinking, well, what am I going to do? So I went in to see them, and they were very good. They found me a sort of short-term role in HR, actually. So I started my career working at MB&A in HR, and then was probably looking around and thinking, right, what do I do next, and how do I sort of take my degree and sort of forge my career. And due to various circumstances, a couple of months in, they restarted this grad scheme, and they asked me to join it. And so I was able to do that for a year, got to work in all areas of the bank. So from lending to collecting when people hadn't paid their credit card bills, to customer service, did an awful lot around that, and marketing, and loved it. And then subsequently, I got the chance to go and work for them over in America. Oh, wow. So I moved over at 22 over to Delaware on the East Coast, and worked in their corporate headquarters for a year, 18 months, which was a brilliant experience.
I recently was at a round table with you. We were talking. You were talking about leadership and being a senior leader. And I think somebody asked a question about mentoring, and you talked about this fantastic mentor that you had.
Yeah.
Was that at this company?
So my first day, they had a new chief exec starting on the same day, and he'd been involved in the US military. So he'd been super senior in the US military, was a 4-star general. He'd been the commandant of the US Marine Corps. So, one of the most senior military figures in the States. And he had retired, and the board at the bank had seen him speaking, and they thought, wow, you're an inspiring individual. We're going to hire you and bring you over to be chief exec of the European arm of the business. So he knew nothing about credit cards, but knew about leadership. And they thought, well, we've got lots of people who know about credit cards, but that leadership will be really, really valuable. And so we started, and I got sort of buddied up with him, and it was just
they feel
luck.
Sorry for you that the grad
scheme
exactly,
and luck and fortune. And so sort of for that first sort of year and a bit, pretty much every week would spend an hour together. And
Wow.
so, you know, he imparted all sorts of leadership lessons and stories, and just a great example, really. You know, and as a sort of fresh grad, you know, you're just like a sponge soaking it all up. And so, yeah, there were so much that I just took on board then from somebody who had been there, seen it, and done it. He'd written books on leadership, quite literally, and so, and he'd obviously commanded people into battle as well, and you know, life and death sort of stuff back earlier in his career, and it was just a brilliant way to learn, and I probably didn't even realise at the time how much I was absorbing, but as I've moved on through my career and you start to think about leadership more, then you know, when you have to talk about it, I look back and go, well, no, these are the lessons, and this was the sort of structure or the approach to leadership that I have taken with me, and I guess I've applied it throughout my career. I mean, one of the things I'm sure I said it at that round table, but you actively think about it a lot, and it was because of the time with this mentor where you know, leadership doesn't just happen. You think, how can I lead? How does my behaviour influence others? What sort of example am I setting? So you're not just managing people, you're trying to lead, you're trying to inspire, you're trying to make them better and make the business that you're involved in better. So yeah, I was really, really fortunate, you know, how that happened, but you know, you try to make the most of that and carry it with you. So it's been invaluable for me.
And I think so often in companies, we don't have that mindset. Actually, people, you know, oh, you're really good at your job, we're going to promote you. Oh, you're doing a really good job, we're going to keep promoting you. And they call it the accidental manager, don't they? That people get thrown into these roles having not actually had any experience in leading people or managing people. So, wow, how amazing that you had that opportunity.
And it's hard, isn't it? Because if you're good at what you do, it doesn't mean that you know how to lead others, or if you haven't had the chance to think about it or talk about it. And so, you know, you're right. I'm a big proponent of leadership and leadership sort of thought and theory, and just making sure that businesses, however big or small, really, really think about it and try to give those early in their career, the sort of Future Faces members, those opportunities, because normally, as long as there's a safety net there, people can do and achieve so much. They just need the chance.
Yeah, I think it was at that leaders round table. One of the questions to all three of you was about opportunities, and I think all three of you answered like the same thing, like, oh, we've been really lucky in our career. And I put my hand up and went, I don't think that's very helpful for the rest of us in this room. We all get given opportunities in life, different opportunities, but it's what we do with those opportunities that's important. And that's what we try to get across to Future Faces members. You know, your company's invested in you, this membership. You can, you know, put it on your CV and do nothing with it. It's not going to get you very far. Or you could really utilise this opportunity and make the most out of it.
Completely. You know, and you're spot on, Sophie. You know, it's every individual, you can make those decisions, can't you? And it's like, am I going to do that little bit extra? Am I going to go to that session that Future Faces are putting on, or that networking, or am I going to show up, and what am I going to learn from that, or which contact am I going to meet? You know, what connection am I going to make? If you don't do it, if you don't push yourself, then
nothing happens.
No, you know, it's a bit like we used to say about the sort of membership of the chamber. It's like being a member of the gym. You can be a member, but if you don't go in and don't get on the treadmill or get on the weights or get in the pool or whatever you do, then you're not going to get any fitter, are you? And you've got to take advantage of those sorts of opportunities. And no, it's that thing, isn't it? The luckier or the harder you work, the luckier you get. And you know, I definitely sort of would believe in that, and you see that amongst all sorts of people.
Yeah, definitely. So you went across to the States, and then what happened?
So I spent a year or so working in the States, came back to the UK and worked for MBNA over here. Then I actually left there, went and worked in recruitment for Michael Page for a period, which was great fun. Learned an awful lot there, certainly around people and around how to sell as well, and I think just very, very commercial. So really, really enjoyed that. And then I got a phone call one day, completely out of the blue, from the chap who'd been my mentor, and he'd somehow sort of tracked me down in an office in Manchester at the time. And remember you said, look, we need to catch up.
You say that, but back then it would have been more difficult. Like today, you just jump on LinkedIn.
Yeah. No, this was no LinkedIn. He actually called the office landline, and got put through. So I would have had a mobile, but yeah, like nowadays everyone, it's easy to find. So this actually took some effort, and we maybe hadn't spoken for a year or so. So I was like. And I was in an open plan office, and I'm on the phone, sort of like, hello. And he said, we've got to meet. He told me two things which weren't true, actually. He said, I've got a job which is based in Manhattan, and the salary's negotiable. And neither were the case, but that was enough to get me interested. And so we had a catch up, and I ended up meeting with Randy Lerner, the Lerner family had been heavily involved in MBNA. In terms of sort of shareholding, and the bank MBNA had been sold at that point, and they were sort of creating or setting up a family office, and the opportunity came to come and work for the family again back in the States. That required me moving back over there and doing a sort of wide-ranging role, like an aide-de-camp, picking up various sort of tasks and getting stuff done. So I was a bit of a fixer, if you like. But and maybe it's what you were saying about opportunity. When you're going, I remember it was all quite vague. You didn't really know what it was going to be. But in my head, I thought, I've got to give it a go.
It's an opportunity. Like, what a great opportunity.
What's the worst that can happen? I'll come back to the UK and figure something out. So, I did feel like, you get these windows of opportunity, and my view was always like, well, when that happens, jump through it and live and experience and see, and then your career in life takes a sort of a path from there, really.
So what brought you back to the UK then?
So it was Aston Villa.
Okay.
So I was moved back to the States, love America, living sort of on the East Coast around New York. One day Mr. Lerner said he's thinking of buying a soccer team. Could I look into it for him? So we did sort of about 6 months of due diligence. Summer of 2006, he bought Aston Villa. And I was still living in the States. We were doing a lot of travelling, but the idea was never for me to sort of be over in the UK full time. But probably over the first year, 18 months, I got more involved behind the scenes at Villa and with the staff, with the manager, again, helping out with the owner and sort of linking things together. And obviously when he's based in the States, the club's over here, the communication bit is essential. So I was doing a lot of that. And we hit a point where some of the senior management changed. We couldn't find the right combination to lead the club, and so I got asked to look. You got to just get to Birmingham, just steady stuff down, and kind of get involved. So I stayed in the Radisson Hotel for about 3 months.
Wow!
And never went back to the States, sort of full time in a way. So it was all slightly by accident, Sophie. But again, felt like an opportunity. And it just felt natural. And so I ended up staying and ended up being chief exec of Villa and sort of working for the Lerner family, but forging a sort of new career then in sport and really starting to get to know Birmingham and the area.
And then I guess kind of coming back at that point, was there an awareness of, I need to build a personal brand here? People in Birmingham need to sort of know who I am, or was it something that happens naturally?
I definitely didn't think I need to build a personal brand. So I guess it happened accidentally. If anything, kind of went the other way, because obviously in sport and in football, it's high profile anyway, and Aston Villa, one of England's most famous clubs, huge attention. I mean, back in sort of 2006, 2008, the world was slightly different, and social media was in its very early days, so it wasn't necessarily quite as all sort of pervasive as it is today, but still comes with a fair bit of profile. But I think we'd always taken a view that football isn't about those people in suits behind the scenes. It's about the players. It's about the manager. It's about what happens on the pitch, on the grass. That's the sort of story. And so our model was to not be too high profile, but to let the football do the talking. Now, naturally, there's an element of that sort of job where you've got to deal with the media and the like, and people are interested, or certainly were, but we almost deliberately took a lower profile and tried to do kind of, I would say the bare minimum, but to do a limited amount of that, because we wanted it to be about the football and wanted it to be about actions, not words. And I think when you're in these types of high-profile roles, you can see people can get carried away by it, and your ego can fire up, and it can be, oh wow, look, I can get my name out there, or I can do whatever. And what we saw was that where people tended to do that, they didn't really have longevity in the industry, and so again, we took a lower profile sort of approach, and I guess it just reputation or profile sort of built slowly as a result. But there were clubs like Arsenal at the time, and you couldn't have named their board, and that was the model. They were so well run that we thought, right, we want to be lower profile and just let the way we run the club hopefully do the talking.
And then from there, you were at Greater Birmingham Chamber of Commerce, is that right?
Yes, well, so I finished at Villa in 2014.
Yep.
I did a 6-month spell in Nottingham, at Nottingham Forest, another great club, as chief exec. And then when I finished there in 2015, my predecessor at the time, the Jerry Blackett, who was the chief exec of the Chamber, had retired or was retiring, and had seen that. I dropped him a text message to say, well done, let's meet for a coffee. And he called me and said, well, have you ever thought about applying for the Chamber job? And we'd been Chamber members, and I knew sort of how important it was to the regional business community, but I thought, no. But I knew I was finishing at Nottingham Forest, and I thought, well, I live in Sutton Coldfield, and, I want to sort of stay around here. I didn't really want to move again, and so that limits the number of roles you can have in sport or in football. So I thought, well, why not? And so I threw my hat into the ring, and remember having an interview, and I had a bit of a plan and a model for what if I was lucky enough to get the job, what I would do. And the board seemed to go great, and they offered me the job. So amazing. I felt very empowered back then to take it on, and we went through a bit of a transformation of the Chamber, but loved it. So it was a great organisation to be involved with, as you know.
We recently we had you on a panel that we hosted at the International Women's Day conference. So Future Faces President Sarah Griffiths, she hosted the panel with you. And one of the reasons we'd invited you onto the panel was, I think probably without realising, you really are a real advocate of women. I think on the panel it kind of came across, it's not something you kind of consciously do, it's just something that kind of happens. But it'd be great just to talk a little bit about that. When you left Greater Birmingham Chamber of Commerce, you sort of left with a pretty female-heavy leadership team. Yeah.
I suppose it's the easiest way to put it. I just believe in meritocracy, and it's about finding the best people for the role. And any role I've been in, it's like, right, how do we drive this business forward? How do we be as best as we possibly can be? And it happened at Villa, it happened, at the Chamber, where it was just around fantastic women who were in sort of either in senior roles already or in junior roles, and just gave them opportunities and promoted them. And so, it was more about the individuals just being really, really good at what they were doing. And, again, slightly, the Chamber, the senior team when I finished was all women apart from myself. And it's just because they were great and are great. And so, I suppose as I've gone on then, you are more conscious of it. And events like the one we did with Future Faces does make you think about that, and almost how when you have that opportunity to knock down some walls for people, or to maybe set an example, you go, great, let's do that, and let's maybe talk about it more, because I knew why I was doing it, because we needed just the best people to take the Chamber forward. But when you end up with that group, then you can talk about it and you can set examples. And I've never I've just never kind of got why people wouldn't do.
Yeah.
Quite
I
frankly.
agree.
Which is the piece where I don't have any great answer to that. It just seems, well, surely you
It's
want the best
normal.
people around you, and
Yeah.
be they men or women. And as I say, I've just been really lucky to work with some fantastic women. Obviously, Henrietta's now
Yeah.
chief exec of the chamber. Katrina is now chief exec of Kids Village charity. Mandy Haig, who worked with us now, is doing a really senior role at BAE, which is phenomenal. And Helen is just about to retire as the chamber's CFO. So you're going, it's not just about working with me, but I think they've proven beyond that they're just brilliant at what they do.
I hadn't quite realised how much time you spent in America in your career. Do you think culturally there's a big difference in the world of business compared to the States, compared to the UK?
Yeah, I mean, I loved living and working over there. And I think you definitely have this can-do attitude in the States, like a positivity, if you work hard and you're good enough, then you can achieve anything.
The American dream.
Yeah, it is. And if it doesn't work, if it fails, then get up and go again. And it's not held against you. And so I don't think people are as reticent or as scared to try stuff. I think they just get on and do it. And I find that really intoxicating. I love it. I love that energy and the art of the possible. And I think that, too critical of the UK, we just don't have that naturally in us. It's almost like, there's a reason not to do something, or we'll be risk averse. And I think risk, as long as you are weighing it up and are making smart decisions, then give stuff a go. Crack on and do it. Don't be constrained. Don't feel like you're placed in a box and that's where you've got to stay. If you've got ambition, you've got ideas, then go and try it. And that really, when you live and work over there, you do feel that. I've, I guess, been influenced by that, and I've probably tried to maintain that approach or carry it with me. And certainly, my own career, I've applied it. And if I'm guiding others or talking to other people about opportunities, I tend to sort of, once you talk it through, you go, well, go for it, give it a go. Try. Don't die wondering about what may have been possible, but go out there and really push hard. So I love that about the States. It is, the American dream's a good way to describe it, and that America's got plenty of challenges and issues as a society, but I think that go get it sense, and it's helped by the scale because it's such a huge country and there's so many opportunities, but it is a great place to do business.
And do you think that some of that has influenced your leadership style?
Yeah, I think inevitably, because if I look back at my career, certainly the first 15 years was pretty much all working for American companies or, and with American leaders. So naturally, I probably worked more in my career in American businesses than I have anything else. So I lived over there for 3-4 years as well. So I think it definitely does stay with, and you have a bit. And because it resonates with me, you sort of embrace it, and then you mix it up and it becomes your own sort of your own mixture, doesn't it? But no, without a doubt, I'm sure it has done.
So I'm just thinking some of our young professionals listening who are aspiring leaders, they want to be leaders. How would you describe a great leader for 2026? The world is changing. Have you got any sort of advice or top tips for a great leader?
Yeah, be authentic, be you, live it, think about it all of the time, and almost lead in everything that you do. You don't dial it up or down. It's about how you live your life. Mm-hmm. The mentor we spoke about earlier, he used to define leaders as being men and women of character, and character is made up of selflessness, moral courage, and integrity. And they're probably the little watchwords that I go back to, and in anything that I'm doing, I'm going, am I being selfless? Am I showing some integrity here? Am I making that right decision? Am I doing moral courage is about doing what's right, not what's easy? Yeah. And if you do that, then you kind of have these traits of leadership. I do. I think about it so much in really small decisions, which aren't necessarily important, but you're interacting with people, and so you still try to demonstrate that. It's, how you treat people and all of that. But I think that's the takeaway I have of, if you want to be a real leader, then you've got to try to own that, and you've got to try to embody it in all that you do. You can't just decide it's Monday 9:00, I'm going to be a bit of a leader, or it's not my place here, I'm going to just sit back. Because you will have little micro decisions and little micro opportunities in your career, wherever you are in an organisation. And I think that they're the times to sort of display those traits, and people around you will notice. I think your peers will notice, your management will notice. That if you're in the right place, then that will be encouraged and fostered, and people will go, there's something here, and you'll be put in the right opportunities.
Do you think that people are born leaders, or do you think it can be taught?
I think it can be taught. Yeah, I think you can consciously think about it, and you can decide that these are the traits you want to embody and what you want to do. Some people, it's probably easier for some, and it maybe comes more naturally to them. But I think you can definitely practice, think about it, adapt and evolve. And and everyone's going to have their own different style. There isn't one. It doesn't mean you've got to sort of tub thump and be a great orator or whatever to be a leader. There's lots of different ways of doing it. But I think it can definitely be taught. So I think anyone who feels it's not me, I just don't have it in me, I'm a introvert, or I don't like doing this, or I don't like doing that, practice, try, push yourself out of your comfort zone, and you'll see that actually, if you do it for the right reasons, then you'll be good at it, and people will notice, and then over time it just gets that little bit easier.
And I think actually having a mentor can be really helpful with that, right? If you've got someone who you look up to and you admire, talking to them about, how did you get to where you are? How did you
Well, it encourages you, doesn't it? And you're able to share your worries or fears, or I don't want to do it because this, or someone says, well, why don't you do that? And you go, well, I don't like public speaking. Or then once you start to articulate and verbalise some of those worries, and you've got the right mentor or sounding board, you kind of talk it through. It doesn't seem quite as scary or quite as intimidating. And then, lo and behold, you go and take that opportunity and do it, and you go, oh, it wasn't so bad. Or if it went terribly, well, what have I learned? And that's how you keep growing and developing. And
I think people see things in you that you don't always see in yourself as well.
Yeah, completely.
Public speaking, I'd never done any public speaking before until this job.
Yeah.
And I love a chat, but I'd never actually done any public speaking, and I was kind of forced to in certain events. Very lucky to have an amazing mentor, Rebecca Mander, who I'm sure you know.
Yeah, fantastic.
She sees things in me that I hadn't, seen in myself. And it really helps you, I think, to have someone encourage you and support
massively.
you.
And there can be multiple people, aren't there? And you may have one individual who is your sort of go-to, or that's your formal mentor, as it were. But there'll be friends and family and other people. And I think you refine that sort of message, and you get sort of clearer as you go. But it is about just pushing yourself, not being afraid to do that.
I just wanted to touch a little bit on personal brand. You actually did a fantastic workshop with our young professionals earlier this year, about sort of networking and personal brand. In the kind of, with the world of networking, how important is it to build a personal brand, and how do you do it authentically? Yeah,
it is fascinating, because I probably never consciously thought about personal brand as such. It's
a new phrase that's been coined. I think when I first started the role, for me, personal brand was that thing that influencers have on social media. And actually, I might have used the word reputation. What's your reputation? What do people think of you? But it's kind of, the modern word is this personal brand idea.
No, get it. And for me, it is, your reputation is so important. And it comes back to, and I'd say that to anyone, and certainly any sort of young professional, you guard your reputation with your life, because that's what other people see and think. And that's back to how you act, how you behave, how you carry yourself, that sort of those traits of leadership, but just being a decent, good good person, hardworking, all of those different things, and that's your reputation. I suppose that builds into your personal brand, and it's not superficial. It's actually about the substance. It's about, are you do you have substance to you? You know, if you say you're going to do things, do you follow through? You know, always making sure that what you're saying is truthful. Don't kind of get caught up in that sense of needing to fight flights of fancy or try to sort of spin things to make yourself sound different or better than you are. You're probably absolutely fantastic, so just stick to the reality, because, you know, again, people need to build trust, and your reputation, your personal brand will be, do I trust you? Do I trust that brand? Do I trust that individual? And
because I think, one, it's very exhausting to pretend to be somebody else.
Oh God, completely.
And two, I mean, you'll always get caught out. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
in my short networking career, I've only really started networking since leading this network. I have met people who make a really great first impression, and 3-4 months down the line, you go, oh, they're not quite delivering what they had promised.
Exactly. And that's the key. That's that reputation. That's where your personal brand has to be built on substance.
Yeah.
Don't rush it. Don't try to augment it by, as you were saying, by, you know, sort of saying things that aren't true. It will come and develop and evolve over time, and then you'll get new opportunities, and you do that, and then that builds to the reputation and the breadth of what you do. But you've got to be truthful, and then, you know, you start to you do become more aware of it, but it's like then how you carry yourself. And you know, it's funny, I mean, I've been in Birmingham now over 20 years, and you can imagine I've seen all sorts of people come and go from the scene, and the people who nothing surprises me now, but you know who has substance. Who are those individuals, those organisations where you go, that's real. I'm going to rely on them. I'm going to trust them. I'm going to involve them in things that I'm doing. And I think that's, you know, one of the strengths of the business community, is how you're built on these really strong pillars. And I suppose anyone coming through, add to that, be a part of it. You know, the business community will give you plenty of opportunities, and when you get them, show that, and suddenly your own career develops, and then you're a part of that as well. I mean, I'm sure you're sort of finding that Sophie as well, and you know, it's brilliant to see. But it's about substance and being authentic.
Yeah, I think I kind of joke. I do a personal brand workshop with new Future Faces members, and one of the things I always say to them is about authenticity and values. You've got to do things that align with your values. And I always give the example: if you're a vegan, don't go to the opening of a steak restaurant.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, there's lots of things that are going on. There's lots of different networking opportunities, experiences, communities in the city. Find yours. Don't pretend to be somebody that you're not if it doesn't align with your values.
Completely agree. As you said, you know, it's a lot easier to be authentic when it's true.
Yeah.
So, and also, I mean, I think it's important to, you know, it's not about everything being perfect and rosy, and again, social media is that window which encourages, you know, to put the filter on, and isn't life wonderful? And we get that isn't the reality, and I think you know that. So if all you're seeing from an individual is sort of sunshine all of the time, you tend to go, really? Yeah. So you're straight away doubting. So, you know, I've had things, I ruptured my quad tendon, I've done twice now, and you know, like when you're in hospital, you're having an operation, I've tried to, or limping around on crutches around town, tried to almost showcase that as well, and to show it and to go, bad things happen to people. Yeah. And part of what happens is how you pick yourself up and get on with it. And that's that piece of resilience, which is a massively important trait. But I feel it's important to share the bits that aren't so great, because it kind of almost gives people permission to do the same. And again, it's real, and it's not much fun, you know, lying in a hospital bed waiting for surgery, or, you know, getting caught in the rain when you're on crutches and you can't move. But if you can share that, maybe have a bit of fun with it as well, I think it comes across as being authentic and real, and people probably go, God, I've had a bad week as well, or I've got stuff going on in my life, and it's important to show all sides of you.
We were both hobbling around, weren't we?
That's right, yeah.
Just before Christmas at the fair show.
We were kind of quite a pair, weren't we?
Yeah. Oh dear. You have spent so much of your career sort of championing the West Midlands. What do you think makes this a special region for young professionals?
I think there is a sense of possibility here.
The Brummie dream.
It is, yeah, exactly. And it's a melting pot, Birmingham or Greater Birmingham, and it's very imperfect. It's got loads of issues and challenges, as we know, and yet it's that jumbled up nature of it, I think, makes it special, and you can kind of cut through. I think people are really welcoming, and they're really open to talent and opportunities, and there's a pride here, isn't there? And if people are doing well, we all feel sort of, really sort of proud of that. I mean, you look at Gymshark as a great example, and I'm sure everyone, I think they certainly have been patrons of Future Faces and the way they get involved and support. But you see the global success that business has had, and what Ben Francis as a young professional has done, and you're kind of like, yeah, go. It's a real sort of win for the region, and I think that if you're a young professional here, then you'll find that people want to celebrate your successes and shout about them, and whether or not you end up building a career which is here for the long term, or you have a period and then you're off doing wherever, it almost doesn't matter, because there's a sense of you'll come back here, or you're somebody who can be an example to others, and you'll help pull others up as well. So there is that sense of the art of the possible here. It's such a broad economy, and there's so many different facets to it. It's not any one thing. So, you can find your own niche. It's great, for professional services or manufacturing still, or we've got a big, booming sort of tech scene, or the cultural scene. It's like, find your niche, but you can sort of rise up here. And as I say, I think people want to build that up and to celebrate. And again, Future Faces does an amazing job at shining a spotlight, and I think making other people aware of who are the young talent around, and how do we celebrate them as well.
We try. we did an event recently, and one of our recent GBYPY alumni said on a panel, Brummies love people that love Birmingham.
Yeah.
And it's so, we're so proud, aren't we? You're a Brummie. Isn't Birmingham? And love Birmingham. People love people that love Birmingham.
And I think there's that thing, isn't there? Because the city, the region, has had a reputational challenge for a number of years, and so you fight hard, and it's that sense of it's better than you think.
Yeah. And it's so external. When you're actually in the city, you're with people who are from the city.
Yeah.
You don't feel that. It's definitely an external thing.
It is, and how often do visitors come here and go, God, this is different than I thought. This is better than I thought. And so I think there is that inherent sort of pride, and we want to sort of shout collectively. And, yes, we've got our challenges. That's for us to fix, but it is far better than people realise. And it's a great place to build a career. And it's wonderful to see the young professional scene so buoyant. And, I mean, how Future Faces has grown and developed in the last 10 years is amazing. And if there wasn't this really vibrant young professional scene, that wouldn't be the case. But you put the right organisation around it, then you just see how it's grown. It's really grown organically, hasn't it? You'll help to shepherd it along, but it comes from the people.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a great culture in Future Faces of real, just good people that want to support each other and sort of lift each other up as we go. And I kind of joke when I do an induction with the new Future Faces members, I always say, everybody's really lovely in the network, and if you meet somebody that's not, let me know and we'll kick them out.
Yeah.
Because, it is such a lovely network. You come and everybody is so friendly and so welcoming, and that's really important for us.
Well, it's that support, isn't it, as well? And it's where you can share your doubts, your worries, your insecurities, which everyone has, and you realise that other people feel the same, and then you start to feel better about yourself, because you're not the only one who's got imposter syndrome or is nervous about this or that, and that network provides that support, which comes back to then encouraging you to take advantage of those opportunities that we spoke about, and it kind of builds and builds, and I'm sure, and it will happen, because we see it, that contacts and friends you make in the network now will stay with people throughout their career. And, in 10, 20, 30 years' time, you've got those trusted links, and you'll be making those calls to people and getting stuff done, and it will all come back to, we met back at Future Faces.
Yeah,
Incredible.
Absolutely. Paul, it's been such an honour to have you on the podcast. It's
been an honour to be here.
No, honestly, thank you so much for coming and sharing a lot of your advice and your wisdom. Really grateful for you being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to the Future Faces podcast. You can listen to all episodes on all major listening platforms such as Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We are now also on YouTube, so you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Thank you so much.